some more semifinalists will be. I'm going to pass it on over to Ailey and Corey.
Thank you so much, everybody. Welcome on into quarterfinals. 2, 3, and 4 here, everybody. I'm Ailey Loney alongside Corey Baumeister, and we cannot wait to jump into the magic here and determine who the rest of our semifinals are going to be. Our semifinalists, I should say. We've got Eduardo Sajgalik on Elementals up against Cyprien Tron playing Airbending. And it seems like it's going to be a bit of a tough road for Cyprien.
Definitely seems like it. You know, these elemental strategies, exactly what Monty was saying at the desk. They've been very much taking advantage of these style decks all weekend. So, gotta like Eduardo for this one. We will see.
We're going to join this quarterfinals with Cyprien Tron on the back foot here, joining in Game 3. So this is post-board magic that you're going to be seeing. Eduardo is up 2 games already, so Cyprien really needs to rally here and pull the old reverse sweep.
Yeah, absolutely. So already tough going into this, but of course even tougher knowing that we're jumping in with Eduardo 2 games up here. So we do get sideboard now from Cyprien Tron, so, you know, things could get a little better. But on the flip side, the first sideboard card I see is from Eduardo, and it is 3 Pyroclasms. So it easily could get worse as well.
Cyprien kicking things off here with a Llanowar Elves. And you did mention that there are a couple of key sideboard cards that, you know, the players do have access to.
Yeah, absolutely.
That being one of them.
Yeah. I would think Pyroclasms are going to be probably the most important thing. Like, even if we see a Pyroclasm here, you got to think that is just about, you know, the best possible thing that can happen here. If you can just get a clean 2-for-1 on turn 2, Eduardo would have assuredly fired that off. It was there, so good news for Cyprien Tron.
And in terms of the sideboarding, we know that Eduardo took out the Deceits, 1 Pit of Offerings, 2 Winter Night Stories, and brought in 2 Seers, Disdainful Strokes, Spell Snares, and Spider Sense. And then for Cyprien, took out 2 Cubs, took out 1 Ang, brought in 2 Airbender Ascension, and brought in Seam Rips, Aven Interrupters, and Get Lost.
Wow, didn't even bring in the Pyroclasms. That's
right.
That's wild. I mean, it makes a lot more sense against rhythm decks where the Bant Airbring, there is actually 3 toughness on a decent amount of creatures. You're not going to Pyroclasm away Doc Orlog, for instance, Angswift Savior type thing. So that does make sense. It'll be good at a certain subset of situations, this one being one of them, but
yeah, certainly plenty of little idiots to get off the battlefield here for Eduardo, and he has 2 of them to deal with right now, and Bramble Familiar as well as Llanowar Elves. Has named Elemental on Cavernous Souls, and is now holding up a piece of interaction, you have to guess, as Cyprien attempts to resolve a Badgermole Cub. Eduardo says no thanks. Spell Snares.
Says absolutely not. Yeah, Spell Snare, one of the best cards here from Lorwyn Eclipse as far as the impact on Standard. And,
nothing that you can do about Ang, though, who's going to airbend away our friendly familiar.
Yep, and did have the option of, let's say, airbending away the Badgermole Cub and casting that later, but really prioritizing getting Fetch Quest for 2 mana. That is kind of the combo here in these airbending lists, and the really nice piece of synergy being able to pass the adventure side for just 2 mana.
I mean, if you can find a Doc Orlog, that's a free 7-mana spell.
Yeah. Doc is quite good here, yeah, and that is one of the combo pieces in play. Still need a couple more.
I mean, I was going to say, like, could he just have the combo now if Doc Orlog is on the table?
No, you definitely need the last combo piece of Appa.
Yeah. Could possibly hit the Appa here, but no such luck. Just 2 Interdimensional Web Watch and a 2nd copy of Bramble Familiar, it looks like.
And very important here, it is creature, enchantment, or land. No Interdimensional Web Watch, being able to...
So he just whiffed?
Kind of,
well,
yeah.
This is another Bramble Familiar, I guess.
Or a land, you know, sometimes you do just want to be ramping, but that's about as close to a whiff as it gets. Yeesh. And the Interdimensional Web Watch was that new piece of technology that we saw, you know, at Spotlight Atlanta here earlier in the month. Just the card that kind of gave this deck a little bit more of a boost from the World Championship, where we saw the deck have a 35% win rate. One card really was that important. It just gives you some longevity.
One card I do want to point out that I see in Eduardo's hand is Sunderflock, and he chatted to Frank Karsten ahead of this matchup and said that's what he needs here. You know, even then, it's not a silver bullet up against this type of, you know, strategy because of the airbending, because of the flash speed interactions. So It's in hand.
Yes.
It's still very, very expensive right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That is perfectly well said. You do that against the rhythm decks,
Mm-hmm.
where you are able to bounce all their accelerants, all their Ouroboros, those kind
Yeah.
of thing. They have to spend an entire turn redeploying them. Here, if Cyprien Tron has some mana available, you can just, well, replay an Aang, bounce a Sunderflock, and they can keep
Yeah.
sending each other to the skies, essentially.
Becomes an air show at that point, but we will now see Ashling rekindled, discarding Sunderflock there.
Incredible card here from Edge of Eternities as well. We saw this in a good amount of decks,
Yeah.
outside of just elemental shells even.
Yeah, pretty good accelerator here. Seer now takes care of one of the problems on board, and it's going to be the Bramble Familiar. So Cyprien took a land off of that fetch quest initially.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, you either take Bramble Familiar or the land, and a land can't get Pyroclasmed, where the Bramble Familiar would be a lot more vulnerable. And if you already had one, a Bramble Familiar, you can just airbend that one. But now that we did lose Bramble Familiar, maybe that might be something Cyprien Tron would regret.
Seamrip takes care of Ashling, so no acceleration for Eduardo, but he does have the Wistfulness in hand. And looks like he should be able to do both modes on that.
Yep, blue, blue, green, green. Now you could still Aang Swift Savior to be able to bounce that, but otherwise you are going to be able to get your Ashling back and come down, able to airbend out these two permanents.
Yeah, so Appa getting Aang and Seamrip into the airbended zone.
That was excellent, being able to airbend out Seamrip to then be able to just kill Ashling again if you want to.
Wistfulness of 6/5, so the blockers on the other side of the battlefield don't have a chance of killing that as it stands. Cyprien's down to 12, so, you know,
Yeah.
Eduardo just doing the good old beatdown.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Can two-hit with that. And 12 is actually a really good number
Yes.
for these elemental decks. They kind of count by 6. If you can ever get Roaming Throne with Vibrance,
Yep.
you just get to deal 6
GG.
straight away. So even an attack with just the Wistfulness, Cyprien Tron has to respect it. But with all these 1/1s that are coming out, casting stuff from the airbend zone, you're going to have a good amount of jump blockers here.
Yeah, Eduardo would certainly love to deploy that tactic of having roaming thrown down alongside the Vibrance just to deal, you know, multiple bouts of 3 damage to the face. Wistfulness gets taken care of, courtesy of Get Lost by Cyprien, so he's doing a great job of keeping this battlefield clear. Can he capitalize now? Does he have enough pressure to get this game won? And he needs to. If he loses here, that is his Pro Tour done.
Yeah, and getting some attacks in there. That airbending deck, you know, it definitely does have a solid plan B. I think the plan B is on the rhythm decks are maybe more effective. You really want to be going for the combo. The plan A of the combo is just so incredible from Ban Airbending.
Played this deck a little bit last night before heading to bed, and there's so many different ways and so much value to be gained off of playing this. So the players who brought it this weekend and who have perfected it and know every little single in and out, you know, they're going to be rewarded. And we've seen that a couple times. We saw it in Atlanta. We're seeing it here now with Cyprien, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a deck that's not very forgiving. You know, if you
count it
don't
out.
know what you have to be prioritizing, if you don't know what kind of hands you can keep against certain matchups, the deck can look very unexciting. But if you know exactly what you need to prioritize and how to sideboard, I think how to sideboard with the deck is probably one of the tougher things. And Eduardo's hand there, bunch of blue cards. And, you know, I wouldn't even be shocked to see taking out a lot more proactive elements from Eduardo and just basically turning into a control deck. Because that's the element Eduardo is doing here, is being the control player in these post-board games.
Wistfulness now, just paying the 2 mana for it, so that's not going to stick around.
Yep.
Getting Ashling back, so Eduardo really, really wants to keep this card on the battlefield. Draw and discard here. Off of its enters ability, or should I say discard and draw. And another Ashling found.
I think that was a Flamebringer.
Oh, Flamebraider.
Or Flamebraider, excuse
they're
me.
doing the same little dance.
They are, yeah. And, I mean, anytime you get a creature that can ramp once, great. That's Ashling on the other side. Anytime you get a creature that adds 2, it's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. Especially now that, Cyprien is targeting all of the high mana value spells because we know Sunderflock is a thing to be looking out for from
Yes.
Cyprien's side of things, because basically everything on his board goes bye-bye. You know, all those lovely little 1/1s that Appa makes, well, they're going to leave and never come back
Yep.
if Sunderflock gets to land.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is a really great point. You don't need Pyroclasm as much when you can just Sunderflock away all the tokens. And Eduardo made a conscious decision here to not use the map with this extra mana.
Yes.
So Cyprien Tron should very much be able to think, all right, there's something.
Yeah,
And as I'm seeing, it looks like we have a bounce off. Now, some reason to also not map on something, as it could just get air bent in response. But looks like we are now going to flip and in response get bounce off. That is just the biggest tempo play from here from Eduardo. This is sped up just a little bit, but I bet that was just as fast going on the stack. That was a huge exchange here for Eduardo.
Great interaction there from Eduardo, who now flips Ashling Rhymebound and gets to play Sunderflock, bouncing all of the creatures on Cyprien's side of things. Boy.
Devastating turn of events now. Now Cyprien Tron trying to play from behind and deal with a Sunderflock. It's so brutal. Like a lot of the interaction is you're just playing, seam rips. There's a couple of get lost. Actually, as I say that, there's one get lost which was already cast.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of ways to actually remove this Sunderflock. And I mean, I'm looking at literal 0.
Avatar's Wrath, I guess?
Yeah, I do not think that one would be something you want in this matchup. And Aang Swift savoring a Sunderflock feels extremely bad.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that Sunderflock is just as good against Bant Airbending as it is against the Rhythm decks.
Yeah, he's got flying flash creatures, so he could just stick them in the way and hope to kill it. But, Eduardo will have to have a plan for that and know that that is one of the only ways that Cyprien can deal with the Sunderflock.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of just having the removal spell of player removal is probably the best thing you can be doing here against Sunderflock, and that it just means Cyprien Tron comboing off. And here's the thing, we don't know the hands, but if Cyprien Tron tapped out last turn to Waterbend and transform Aang,
sign of weakness.
That's a huge sign of weakness. That is not really, what you're going for most of the time.
Yeah. Ashling rekindled, transforms, discard and draw. And Eduardo now, he's going to play this a little slower, just to make sure that he has a response for Cyprien. We know that he's got Appa in hand, he's got Aang Swift Savior in hand, I believe, as well.
So both can be played right now. So that's the point, is how do you play around both? We see Disdainful Stroke for the Appa, but we do not have an answer for Aang. But, I mean, just attacking and then just replaying Sunderflock would be perfectly fine.
Let's see what happens, basically, is what Eduardo's going for here. But first things first, Wistfulness, going to draw a couple cards.
2 roaming
all right. Well, it says we don't need both.
And we kind of saw Eduardo do the traditional stack, hand signals there, one on top of the other. That is the power that you can do with Ashling, where you can actually get the 2 mana and then flip. So that 2 mana floating was able to evoke the Wistfulness, and we got to...
It's sweet. You get the best of both worlds with the transform cards from
It's awesome.
Aang says, "Begone, Sunderflock." So, problem solved, at least temporarily.
Yeah, and I would think Eduardo is going to be very tempted to just recast that.
Yeah.
And then hold up Disdainful Stroke, but looks like with 5 mana you have 1 extra, so you can, of course, first see, do we have a land on top?
Now, from Eduardo's side of things, he needs to also be cognizant of his life total. It's at 5.
Yes.
Those are 2 creatures that can kill him in the air.
Yeah.
So we have to replay the Sunderflock just to get it off the board. To not die.
Yeah. Okay, that is an interesting interaction there. So it costs 2 with airbending, but it still gets the cost reduction because you have...
It's free.
So it is free there. Okay,
oh my goodness. Okay. Well, Eduardo doesn't have a lethal threat in the skies to deal with here, but Cyprien is looking like he might be able to pull this off here if he's able to keep that Sunderflock under control.
Yeah, and we do have the ability, if we have a land, to just flip over Aang and then attack for 6,
Yeah, it
which
becomes a
would
6/6
be
trampler, right?
It 5/5, and then it gets a counter
Yeah.
on it. So if we have land 8, we can attack for 6 trample. That does mean at least one chump blocker has to go
Yeah.
in front. But the thing is, you just tried this and you kind of got wrecked by bounce off. Do you want to try it again? We know it's not there for Eduardo. We don't necessarily know if Cyprien Tron had land 8 that's untapped.
Just going for the safe 2 damage.
Yep.
Currently, he's winning the damage race. And he's able to recast Appa and Aang
Yeah.
next time Sunderflock comes back.
And even if you had the mana to transform here, attacking, trading Ashling, going down to 2, and then Eduardo just Sunderflocks it back, and Cyprien Tron is tapped out and can't
Yeah.
redeploy everything. That's a pretty bad exchange as well. So this is still a nice play from Cyprien.
So from Cyprien's side of things, like he's looking to end step Aang and Appa, hope that there's no reach, no other flyers on the board other than the Sunderflock, and he should pick up the win here.
And then go for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we might see Aang Swift Savior transformed if it's just lethal. If it's not
Yeah.
lethal, it's not going to be worth the risk. Double Sunderflock now. So now it is a lot tougher to get through in the skies,
Yeah.
especially because Eduardo also has the Disdainful Stroke. You can jam this Roaming Throne as well. Definitely Eduardo clawing back.
Roaming Throne doesn't have reach. It's on the stack here now, though. Does Cyprien have a response?
Yeah, and even
Man.
if you airbend it out here with Aang, probably don't really need to recast it or don't want to recast it, as you want to have that Disdainful Stroke for...
What if there's 2 Aangs? Because there's no... Well, maybe it works. 2 Aangs and then transform it? That's not enough to get through, huh?
Yeah, just the legend rule, if anything.
Well, yeah. Aang, bounce the one, keep the other,
Yeah.
transform it, try and get through.
If
But
you
yeah,
get
that works.
if you get the 2 flocks out of the way, yeah, it's just still 7, 8, 9 toughness on the ground. I guess the one thing that's really nice is you can always attack with Aang, and if
then
there are no
transform it?
blocks, aka no flyers, then transform and get 5 through in the air. So yeah, that actually is a solid thing that you can do if we had the mana available. So getting Sunderflock out of the way somehow and then attack, no blocks, transform, that would be lethal, but we have 7 lands
Yeah.
right now. It doesn't seem like that is a feasible plan.
Yeah, and also the second flock that is just going to jump in the way, irrespective.
Exactly. Now, it's just one short here, because you could attack with Aang, force the block with Sunderflock if you have an 8th land, and
Yeah.
then transform, but that would be a solid play.
Just trades, right?
Exactly. That would be a solid play if it was 6/6 against 5/5. You trample over for 1, you get to keep your Aang, but paying your whole turn to lose everything.
Ooh, okay, all right, now we're cooking.
Yeah, Aang at the crossroads here is nice. So let's see what we can find.
Show us, Cyprien.
Oh,
Really?
ah,
Is that it?
dang. Where are the Doc Orlogs? Where are the big hits? I mean, that's so far 2 times that we have seen,
Wow,
the
just
variants
whiffs,
of
yeah.
the deck, like the Fetch Quest and the Aang at the Crossroad. Both have very minimal hits.
Yeah.
And now it is just the case of Eduardo has to have this just completely locked up right now, Sunderflock everything away, and that should just be it.
Yeah, the raccoon is an elemental, right?
Yeah, I guess it is. So yeah, that is a chump block here to
Yeah.
stay alive on the roaming
5,
throne.
6, 7, 8. Block the roaming throne.
Yeah, a card that I
right.
feel like we're all just learning together is an elemental raccoon.
There's plenty of elementals, even some crabs.
Yeah, so that would be the trade. I mean,
Okay.
sure. I think if you're at 1 or you're at 3, it's
It doesn't
exactly
matter.
the same.
Yeah. Doesn't make all that much of a difference here.
Vibrance still closes the game by a mile if that's something that we can find.
Especially if this roaming throne sticks around.
Yeah. And now at this point, you got to think, like, what's the catch-up mechanism? And once again, it's the same as before. You need Doc into Angswift Savior.
Yeah, you need to combo off and just not give Eduardo another chance.
Exactly, and there's just not enough mana to do it. So looks like next turn is probably going to be Cyprien Tron's last turn of the tournament, but an incredible run. And so awesome to see.
Oh, yeah.
Huge reaction making it into the top 8.
Such a passionate Magic player. Like, you just see he loves the game so much. His reaction, his interview afterwards. If you missed it, like, really go and give it a watch. Like, I really hope we'll see Cyprien make it up to the top tables in future events.
And even before we got the interview with Cyprien Tron, you know, it was a solid 3-4 minutes of tearing up kind of behind stage. Just the moment meant so much to him.
Hell yeah.
It's incredible to see, and it was really a special moment late into yesterday's competition.
That's what we live for in the booth, man.
100%.
See what it means to these players.
Or when I was playing these Pro Tours, it's what I live for, watching from the rails. I was never in these moments, of course, but watching from the rails, that still gave me goosebumps back then.
That is going to do it. Eduardo Sajgalik, a 3-0 up against Cyprien Tron, who had an excellent run here this weekend. But these elementals, they are doing the work here for Eduardo. His teammates gave him the ideas, the information that he needed. He said, okay, I'm going to trust him, and let's get it done. 3-0.
Hey, that's why you have a team, you know, because right after you just played Magic for 8 days and you just made it into the top 8, the last thing you want to do is test your top 8 match. You need to get some sleep, you need to get some dinner, but if you get a team that gives you those great ideas, you know, that's a huge benefit there, and big congratulations to Eduardo.
Yeah, shout out to Team Worldly Council there as well. Backing up there, boy. We have an interview with Eduardo after his win, so let's go hear from him now.
I'm joined by the winner, Eduardo Sajgalik, coming off of a huge win over Bant Airbending. Eduardo, tell me about that matchup.
Well, I think the matchup's closer than it looked. Probably on camera, Cyprien got honestly really unlucky in the games. Like a lot of the times, managed to get a mill 7 or the 5-ang, right, and just air like a bunch of times. For me, game 1 was probably the highlight because I'm like, Winter Night, draw free. Winter Night, Harmonize, draw free. Wistfulness, and Sunderflock's like exactly the right card at the 8th card, just as he has missed on everything to like give me game 1, and then, yeah, I take over as a result. Honestly, I think the matchup's closer, and just poor fortunes on Cyprien's part.
Well, as you move on to the semifinals, you play the winner of Christopher Larson and Francisco Sanchez. If you had to pick one, who would you prefer to play against?
I like playing against Lessons. It's a cool deck. I think it's also very classic Magic, right? Like kind of value mid-range against spell combo. So that's kind of a cool matchup. Historically, it's good for value mid-range, by the way. That's why. But whereas value mid-range against control varies. So probably, but you know, Larson's also a grand time to play against. So that'd be an entertaining match, I'm sure.
We're looking forward to watching you play. Good luck.
We're going to take a short break, friends, but when we come back, we've got 2 more quarterfinals to get through. Tony Portolán versus Guglielmo Lupi is up next.